was not coming this year. Instead, it was a much darker, more ancient spirit. The shadow of St. Nicholas. It was Krampus. And as he had for thousands of years, Krampus came not to reward, but to punish. Not to give, but to take. He and his helpers.
But that fire is delightful. Since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. It doesn't show signs of stopping, and I brought lots of corn for popping. The lights are way down low, so let it snow, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally say goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you will only hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. Fire is slowly dying.
I know you can fix this. Give them back! Take me instead.
While the holiday season represents the most magical time of the year, ancient European folklore warns of Krampus, a horned beast who punishes naughty children at Christmas time. When dysfunctional family squabbling causes young Max to lose his festive spirit, it unleashes the wrath of a fearsome demon. As Krampus lays siege to the Ingle home, mom, pop, sister and brother must band together to save one another from a monster's fate. A lot of people may be unaware of the Christmas devil, commonly known as Krampus. In Central European folklore, Krampus is a horned anthropomorphic figure described as half goat, half demon, who, during the Christmas season, punishes children who have misbehaved, in contrast with St. Nicholas, who rewards the well-behaved with gifts. There are a couple of adaptations of this demon in film, and in my opinion, I enjoy this film a lot more than the other ones. As Bloody Disgusting put it, this film will likely be the be-all and end-all Krampus film. It's easy for Hollywood to push a random movie out to an audience for the sake of making money, and there are tons of films out there with the directors who don't actually care for it. And it does make the world of a difference when they put in the effort to make a fantastic movie. When you think of a Christmas horror movie, The Gremlins might come to mind. A family-friendly festive horror film, not too scary, but not too watered down. Krampus is supposed to be seen that way. It isn't meant to be extremely terrifying. Of course, to many it's a very scary film. But the director wants this to be a family film. Doherty felt like he wanted to pay tribute to the kinds of films he grew up on watching. It's that Amblin era, where you had Gremlins and Poltergeist and Dark Crystal. A great chunk of time where movies were willing to mix up genres and where they were, frankly, willing to scare kids. I think back then, movies gave kids more credit than we do right now. They knew kids were braver, and it's okay to give kids a healthy dose of fear every now and then, because you can teach them how to deal with anxiety, stress and fear. Colette added, "It feels like a John Hughes film with this dysfunctional family, and they're really acerbic, and then it fully swings into something. I just love being shocked that way." Tallman nailed it, saying, "This hits the sweet spot as first horror films go. When you want to introduce your kids to horror, this is the right kind of movie that strikes the right tone. And it is this movie about the family pulling together and the holiday spirit. It strikes all the right notes. And in many senses, this film definitely works as a family horror film. So let's take a look at the plot. And a quick warning, if you've yet to see the film, I would definitely recommend you pause and check it out.
We know you still believe in the big fat creeper.
3 days before Christmas, the prosperous but dysfunctional Elgar family come together for Christmas. Max remains a firm believer in Santa Claus, and intends on sending a letter to him. Amongst his family are his parents Tom and Sarah, his teenage sister Beth, his aunt Linda and uncle Howard, their children Howie Jr., Stevie, Jordan and baby Chrissy, Sarah and Linda's cantankerous aunt Doherty, and Tom's mother Omi, who speaks mostly in German. Omi Engel. Omi is a very important character in this film. She plays a wise old woman who had her own encounter with the Christmas devil when she was a child. When she was a young girl living in post-war Austria, her family's poverty and everyone's selfishness and apathy caused her to lose her love of the holidays, which summoned Krampus and resulted in her parents and town being dragged into hell. She alone was spared by the demon, who left behind a bauble with his name inscribed on it, and her life as a reminder of what happens when one loses the Christmas spirit. Back to the film. Max wants to continue family traditions, but tension between his relatives leads them to losing the Christmas spirit. When his cousins read out his letter to Santa and mock him for it, he tears up the letter and throws it out the window. That night, a severe blizzard engulfs the town and causes a power outage. Beth ventures out to check on her boyfriend, but is chased by a large horned creature. She hides beneath the delivery truck, but the creature leaves behind a jack-in-the-box which attacks, presumably killing her. Tom and Howard leave to search for Beth, but find her boyfriend's house in ruins, with the chimney split open and large goat-like hoof prints in the house. Outside, the two are attacked by an unseen monster under the snow. They return home and board up the windows. Later, a large hook with a living gingerbread man attached lures Howie Jr. to the chimney, and he is dragged up the chimney despite the family's efforts to save him. Omi explains that the creature hunting them is Krampus, an ancient demonic spirit who punishes those who have lost the Christmas spirit. Omi recounts that when she was a child, her parents and community lost their spirit, as she did, summoning Krampus. He dragged everyone except for her to the underworld, leaving behind a bell bauble with his name on it. The family remained skeptical until monstrous toys hidden in presents delivered earlier invade the home. Stevie and Jordan are lured to the attic by Beth's voice, where Jordan is swallowed by their clown, the jack-in-the-box from earlier before. The family fends off the toys, only for Krampus' elves to leap through a window, taking Dorothy, Howard and Chrissy. Tom decides the family should flee for an abandoned snowplow in the streets. Omi sacrifices herself to distract Krampus, who emerges from the fireplace, attacking her with his bag of toys. Outside, Tom, Sarah and Linda are dragged under the snow, while Stevie is captured by elves. Krampus confronts Max, giving him a bell bauble wrapped in a piece of his discarded letter. Max honestly apologizes for losing his spirit, and although Krampus seems to accept his apology, he tosses Max into the underworld nonetheless. Max awakens in his house on Christmas morning, discovering his family alive and well, believing that what happened last night was just a nightmare. But then he unwraps a present containing Krampus' bauble, and the family collectively remembers the previous night to their terror. Their house is shown being watched through a snow globe in Krampus' workshop, alongside countless others. The film ends with a jump scare by Krampus' elves and demonic toys. Like I mentioned earlier, there are other films about Krampus, but this one is by far the closest to the Krampus legend that we might ever get. It had a lot going for it. It's a studio-backed film, meaning that they had a lot of money for a good cast, and even a great team of editors to make memorable creature effects. Everything from the opening to the cast is refreshing. We all get it. The holidays are a stressful time, and it is quite amusing to see an opening that really shows how hectic the holidays can be. The movie was directed by Michael Dougherty, the same man behind movies like Trick or Treat and X-Men Apocalypse. As like most families, it's not uncommon to take what you have for granted, especially during the holidays. Life can be crazy, and like this film, it shows that the holidays aren't made up of entirely joyful moments. Like I mentioned earlier, the grandmother Omi, she was an important character. Having had an encounter with Krampus herself, she fears for Max during the holidays. She was the one to realise the horrific event before it even happened. Krampus is here to take, but not give. Max may have tried to sacrifice himself to save his family, but Krampus isn't going to undo the work that he's done. Once Max wrote the letter and tore it up, the fate of the Engel family was sealed. This ending definitely flipped things around, as most Christmas films end happily, with the family treasuring their company. But this movie serves as a lesson that once you summon the demon, there is no going back. And that about concludes this festive film. I really did enjoy it. I liked the ending. Why would so much unfold but then be undone by a sacrifice? It's unlike most endings, but in a depiction of a demon like Krampus, they shouldn't make him out to be a softie. And add a bonus for those who didn't like the ending, maybe this one will better suit you. But how is it a happy ending if they're all trapped in the snow globe? Well, they're really not. The way I saw it was that Dougherty's way of showing that those snow globes are Krampus' portrayal to the real world. He has one for every single family, and when they're not respecting the spirit of the season, he strikes. He's keeping tabs on every single family in the world, quite literally like an evil Santa Claus. He knows when they're sleeping, he knows when they're awake, and he damn sure knows when they've been bad or good. Well, as for the ball that Max opens up on Christmas morning, I viewed that as Krampus reminding Max that he's watching him, and letting him know that even though none of those awful things actually happened to his family, it was all something more than a mere nightmare. Even his family members, they seem to recognise the bell in some way, suggesting that they too experienced the same nightmare. Should Max lose sight of the Christmas spirit again, Krampus will return, as the family is forever under his watchful eye. The bell is merely a symbol, a reminder to never lose that Christmas spirit. And that is the bloody disgusting theory to the end of the film. The director has never really quite come out and explained the ending to the film, so your guess is really as good as mine. It's quite literally up to you what way this movie ended. Let me know in the comments below what movie you might want to see next and what you thought of this film.